The full story of America. Welcome to a journey through the incredible, complex, and sometimes challenging story of the United States of America. From its ancient origins to its modern challenges, American history is a saga of migration, conflict, innovation, and the persistent pursuit of ideals. Let's begin at the very beginning. Long before European ships reached these shores, the vast lands that would become the United States were home to diverse and complex Native American societies. For thousands of years, these indigenous peoples developed distinct cultures, languages, and ways of life, adapting to varied environments from coast to coast. They were the original inhabitants, establishing intricate social structures, trade networks, and spiritual beliefs. Scholars believe the first peoples arrived in waves, migrating from Asia across a land bridge that once spanned the Bering Strait, or possibly traveling by sea. Over millennia, their descendants spread across the entire continent, forming hundreds of unique nations, each with its own history, governance, and connection to the land. The narrative for many often shifts focus to the late 15th century, with the arrival of Europeans, conventionally marked by Christopher Columbus's voyages starting in 1492. While initially focused on exploration and finding new trade routes to Asia, European interest soon turned towards establishing permanent settlements and claiming territory in the Americas. This contact initiated the Columbian Exchange, a massive transfer of plants, animals, culture, human populations, technology, diseases, and ideas between the Americas, West Africa, and the Old World. While beneficial for Europeans in terms of new resources and crops, it was devastating for Native American populations, who had no immunity to diseases like smallpox, influenza, and measles brought from Europe. The demographic collapse was catastrophic, paving the way for European dominance. The 16th century saw Spain dominate exploration and colonization in the Americas, establishing a vast empire to the south, with outposts and missions reaching into what is now the American Southwest and Florida. However, other European powers soon challenged Spanish supremacy. France claimed vast territories in North America, centered around the St. Lawrence River and extending into the Great Lakes region and down the Mississippi River Valley, primarily focused on the fur trade. The Dutch established a presence in what became New York, founding New Amsterdam. But it was the English who would ultimately establish the colonies that would form the core of the future United States. Their efforts began in earnest in the early 17th century. The first permanent English settlement was Jamestown, Virginia, founded in 1607 by the Virginia Company of London, a joint stock company seeking profit. Early years were marked with extreme hardship, starvation, disease, and conflict with the Powhatan Confederacy. The colony only survived and found economic viability through the cultivation of tobacco, which became a highly profitable cash crop in Europe. This success, however, fueled the demand for labor, leading to the introduction of indentured servitude and, crucially, the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade to the English colonies with the arrival of enslaved Africans in 1619. Further north, in 1620, a group of English separatists known as the Pilgrims, seeking religious freedom from the Church of England, established Plymouth Colony in Massachusetts. Their journey on the Mayflower and subsequent First Thanksgiving with members of the Wampanoag tribe are iconic moments in American lore. Survival for the Pilgrims in the early years was precarious and heavily dependent on Native American assistance. Throughout the 17th century, more English colonies were founded along the Atlantic coast. The Massachusetts Bay Colony, established by Puritans in 1630, grew rapidly and became a center of religious and social conservatism, though dissenters like Roger Williams, who founded Rhode Island, and Anne Hutchinson challenged the strict religious hierarchy. The southern colonies, including Maryland, the Carolinas, and eventually Georgia, developed economies based on large-scale agriculture, exporting tobacco, rice, and indigo. These economies became increasingly reliant on the brutal system of chattel slavery, importing hundreds of thousands of Africans who were stripped of their freedom, culture, and dignity. The middle colonies, including New York, seized from the Dutch, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, founded by William Penn as a haven for Quakers and known for its relative tolerance and good relations with Native Americans initially, and Delaware were characterized by greater ethnic and religious diversity